We're a week into April, but it's still freezing in Detroit, and the NFL draft remains 3 weeks away. We've exhausted lots of possibilities for the Lions already, and the closer we get, the more I like to explore ideas outside the box. Whether that's trades, luxury picks, players who fall, that's what piques my interest more than the 30th discussion about where the Lions should take a tight end. Mock drafts, as they say, are like Elvis impersonators. Over time, they look more like each other than they do the real thing. The actual draft never goes like any of us expect anyway. So let's get creative with the questions here. What are the odds that Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia decide to pass completely on drafting a running back this year, in favor of targeting either an interior offensive lineman early or a tight end slightly later, or both, while still building depth in the defensive front seven? Meet me on M Live. This would be a surprise for obvious reasons, as the Lions finished dead last in rushing yards per game and per carry last year after passing on all the great backs who came out in that draft. There is an argument for passing on them again, though, and ill present that here. Everybody knows the Lions had a world of issues getting anybody blocked in the ground game, giving no back a chance to really do much of anything of rhythm with any back. Bob Quinn certainly knew that when the only coach he sent out the door directly with Jim Caldwell was offensive line coach Ron Prince. Quinn and Matt Patricia, who has his own offensive line background, have brought in a far more experienced and renowned coach in Jeff Davidson, whose designs have sprung a 100-yard back 67 times in 13s on the job. The Lions, by contrast, have done it 13 times in 13 years. If they believe he'll fix the designs and how to coach them, they could believe they already have a lot of the pieces in place. The reality is the backs have been hard to evaluate without these running lanes. Quinn has talked up his expectations for Amir Abdullah. I believe he has some legit talent and was benched more for fit than anything else. Theo Riddick is a proven third down option, and LeGarrette Blount is here to handle some runs, particularly in short yardage, which was the one theoretical skill set missing from the position group. As hard as it might seem with the results that have come in Detroit recently, running back is a pretty plug-and-play position in the NFL. You can find affordable stopgap veterans every year to handle rundowns while Riddick does his thing in the passing game. What you can't find as easily or affordably are edge rushers, cornerbacks or flex tight ends, and the Lions could go after more of those if they weren't locked into drafting a running back. Now, here's why I don't think it will happen. If the running game fails again, Quinn will have a hard time blaming anybody but himself. With Abdullah and Blount in contract years, Detroit should tap into this great class and develop someone of good value in its deep stable of backs. Even if you like the potential of the backs you have, keep taking swings to fix the problem. As the Patriots and Eagles showed in the Super Bowl last year, you can never have too many weapons for a quarterback to play with. In the unlikely situation the Lions trade up, who would it be for? Anthony Albano at Lions fan on Twitter. This is also unlikely because of only having 6 picks to play with, but we do talk about the Lions' first selection in terms of players who could drop. What if they went up and got one? I think this would need to be for a game-changing defender they don't believe has a chance to fall, and the ideal spot to trade up to would be with the Redskins at 13. That is one spot ahead of the Lions' division rival Packers, who are looking for game-changing defenders at some of the same spots. This would be a double whammy: get the impact player you need and force the rival who might want him to have to play him for the next several years. Washington could pick up more picks after trading away its third-rounder this spring. It should cost the Lions' second-round pick, which is steep, so they'd have to love the player. The best option to me is Florida State safety Derwin James. He's a stud who should go in the top 10, but quarterbacks flying off the board could change that. He is as versatile as they come, with the ability to play back and run downhill or cover in man. Some even think he could play cornerback. And that's the kind of safety Matt Patricia always seems to like, the one who blurs the lines. Glover Quinn is 32, Patricia loves to use 4 safety sets on passing downs, and defenders who can disguise what they do will help in a division with Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins and Mitchell Trubisky. Detroit could go up and grab him before the Packers make him a replacement for Morgan Burnett. Again, I don't expect a trade up from the Lions, but getting a game-changer on defense before the Packers would be the reason to do it. Crazy world hypothetical: the Cleveland Browns offer their 2 first-round and 3 second-round picks in the 2018 draft and Myles Garrett for Matthew Stafford. Do you do it? You can also toss in one of their QBs. Football Scout on M Live. We like crazy world hypotheticals in this edition of the mailbag. I've gotten variations of this question a few times, suggesting a Stafford trade to the Browns. This is a package I actually kind of like thinking about, so let's go down the rabbit hole. For starters, the Lions could only think about a trade like this if they feel like they've maxed out their chances to win with Stafford and that someone in this draft has a higher ceiling. The former seems like a real stretch, unless they felt like a division with Rodgers and Cousins in it was just too tough for the time being. At least in this scenario, that would have to be the thinking: get a young quarterback whose prime will come after these guys have gotten old. If we're talking pure potential of a home run, USC's Sam Darnold or Wyoming's Josh Allen would be the ones to chase. The odds aren't on their side to become better than Stafford currently is as a borderline top 5 quarterback, but the Eagles, Rams and Texans are showing the world of possibilities that exist when you have a star quarterback on a rookie contract. This would be chasing that kind of high. If the Lions can get Tyrod Taylor back in this fantastical trade, they can give the fumble-prone Darnold or the inaccurate Allen the time on the bench they need to try to cure their ills. Let's say they get my favorite option in Darnold at 1, and then come back and get my favorite non-quarterback in Saquon Barkley at 4. They get the game-wrecking edge defender in Garrett for Patricia to construct the defense with. It works, if the reset button is what the Lions feel they need. They'd have the world at their fingertips here with Darnold on a rookie deal and some talent on both sides of the ball. The one issue with it is the whole idea of the reset button. This move would not just be giving up on Stafford but also giving up on the pieces they brought in specifically for his strengths. That's the high-priced pass protectors that give him a clean pocket, the coordinator who has a pre-snap system all dazzled up, the deep ball receiver in Marvin Jones, the tandem in Jones and Tate that he has such chemistry with. Yes, some of these same pieces can help Darnold. But with the way contracts expand, you're banking on him growing at a rate fast enough to catch up to speed with all of them and still win in the window. That's why I would enter this trade in the end, enticing as the assets are. The Lions signed Stafford to a $135 million extension last summer because they're ready to lock in with him and the pieces he trusts. When you consider the defenses HES carried and the running games that have sputtered in Detroit, the Lions really haven't come anywhere close to doing all they can with him. The Lions are really in one of the most enviable spots of team building in the NFL. The passing game is set, and it's time to find some defenders and rushing help to make his life a little easier. All of those can be found without picks at the top of the draft. As the Rams showed, it's hard to see success coming before it actually arrives. A franchise quarterback like Stafford gives you that chance. Everything else is a prayer.